Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your Thursday. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesiger. A new development as Colstrip struggles to keep its coal power plants alive.
Today, another one of the co-owners of the plants announced it is cutting its investments into Colstrip almost a full decade sooner than expected.
Now, it's part of a settlement reached with regulators in Washington state where most of Colstrip's power is sold. Avista Corp, one of 6 plant co-owners, initially targeted an exit date of between 2034 and 2036 for units 3 and 4. Now Avista plans to be out of Colstrip by 2025.
As part of the agreement, Avista has pledged $3 million to help the community transition away from the economics of coal. Avista is at least the 3rd co-owner to speed up its departure from Colstrip. Last month, PacifiCorp said it planned to pull out by 2027, nearly 2 decades earlier than originally planned. Now, the agreement is subject to approval by the Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission.
Colstrip's older units 1 and 2 are already slated to close at the end of this year.
Well, you may remember Whitefish Energy, the Montana company whose contract to restore power on hurricane-ravaged Puerto Rico caused a political and media firestorm.
But 2 years later, Whitefish Energy says it is still trying to get paid for the extensive work it did. MTN's Mike Dennison has the story.
In the wake of Hurricane Maria in September 2017, Whitefish Energy was the first major contractor hired by Puerto Rico's Power Authority to repair the island's devastated electrical grid. Yet the contract was canceled a month later under political pressure after critics questioned its award and suggested then Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke of Montana had something to do with it. Whitefish Energy and its subcontractors worked for another month in Puerto Rico and say they repaired more than 50 transmission towers and 200 miles of power lines. But CEO Andy Tekmansky says the company is still owed nearly $130 million for that work.
It's all but destroyed my business. We were carrying so much debt right now. We can't maneuver. We can't afford to grow. We have this reputation, stigma around us that won't be cleared up until we get paid and say, hey, look, we're good guys.
It can't get the money because the Federal Emergency Management Agency still hasn't approved a reimbursement to the Puerto Rican Power Authority. FEMA officials told MTN they're reviewing documents in the 2-year-old case. Tekmansky also said he's asked Montana's congressional delegation for help, to no avail. The office of Senator Steve Daines says it's monitoring the situation, and Senator John Tester's office says it has pressed FEMA to be more transparent about the process. Zinke told MTN News he had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the contract and that the media criticism was part of a political smear. Whitefish Energy, while a small company, had experience repairing power lines in difficult terrain, and Tekmansky had worked on Puerto Rico earlier in his career. He says he contacted Puerto Rican power officials a week before the hurricane hit and pitched his company's services. He also notes that officials from FEMA and a power company that took over the work on Puerto Rico after his company left were charged in September with fraud and bribery, but that investigations found no wrongdoing by his company for its work.
So we're the last man standing. We're the ones that never got implicated in anything because we conduct an ethical business.
Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
And you can see Mike's full report on Whitefish Energy and its contract at KTVQ.com.
Well, day 5 of the House's open impeachment hearings featured testimony from David Holmes, an official at the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, and former top White House Russia aide Fiona Hill. Catherine Johnson. Obviously, we're experiencing some technical difficulties tonight. We'll try to get to that story in just a bit. Now, CBS News has learned that several Republican senators also met with White House counsel this morning to discuss impeachment strategy.
Well, a scary situation for some Billings passengers after a man hijacked a Met Transit bus today and took it on a ride from downtown Billings to the Heights. Officers arrested 28-year-old Diavanta Belton, who police say drove that bus away from the downtown transfer center around 12:20 this afternoon. Law enforcement stopped the bus within 5 minutes near the Metro Park upper parking lot on Airport Road and Bench Boulevard. Now, this isn't video of the stolen bus, but Met Transit manager Rusty Logan says those buses can be tracked. 2 passengers on board were not injured and the bus was not damaged. The driver was taking a break at the time, and as per protocol, In the cooler weather, it let the passengers stay on the bus. That's when Belton allegedly took the bus.
The individual who was operating the bus appeared to know how to operate a bus. I'm not sure if he had been trained in it or not. You kind of got to be familiar with the vehicle before you can actually get it to drive away. The bus did stop pretty much immediately once law enforcement showed up. We're very fortunate that the situation was not more severe than it was, and we're definitely going to be taking the steps necessary to ensure that this never happens again.
And Billings police tell us that Diavanta Belton faces felony theft, 2 counts of unlawful restraint, theft from another incident, possession of drug paraphernalia, and several traffic offenses.
A male suspect is now arrested in connection with yesterday's shooting in Billings, and a woman is in custody after they fled police this morning and crashed their SUV into a patrol car. 24-year-old Marlon Parker faces attempted deliberate homicide, robbery, and felony possession of dangerous drugs. Now, Parker is suspected of shooting a 27-year-old Billings woman on the 900 block of South 29th Street early Wednesday morning. She was taken to the local hospital and treated for a non-life-threatening injury. And 46-year-old Marlena Big Day faces multiple charges, including felony criminal endangerment. Lieutenant Brandon Woolley says just after 9 o'clock this morning, officers tried to stop a black SUV in the Billings Heights. Big Day was driving and fled from officers until the vehicle crashed into another police vehicle. Now, a third suspect detained, an 18-year-old male from Billings, was released from the scene.
All right, we want to get back to that story now. Day 5 of the House's open impeachment hearings featured testimony from David Holmes, an official at the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, and former top White House aide Fiona Hill.
Katherine Johnson has the story.
There is a great deal of
Former top Russia aide for the White House, Fiona Hill, warned Republicans not to buy into false conspiracy theories about Ukraine.
Some of you on this committee appear to believe that Russia and its security services did not conduct a campaign against our country, and that perhaps, somehow, for some reason, Ukraine did. This is a fictional narrative.
Hill and David Holmes, a top aide in the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, testified Thursday in the final day of the impeachment inquiry.
The president's voice was loud and recognizable.
Holmes said he overheard a late July phone call at a Kyiv restaurant between President Trump and EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland. Holmes says the conversation immediately turned to the investigation President Trump had just been pushing the day before in another call with the Ukrainian president, an investigation into the president's campaign rival, Joe Biden.
I then heard President Trump ask, so he's going to do the investigation. Ambassador Sondland replied that he's going to do it.
Hill also testified she saw Sondland deliver the same ultimatum to a Ukrainian delegation during a White House meeting. Republican committee members pushed back.
The Democrats have struggled to make the case that President Trump committed some impeachable offense on his phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky.
In closing remarks Thursday, House Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff said that call took place a day after Robert Mueller testified here on Capitol Hill about the Russia investigation.
Donald Trump is back on the phone asking another nation to involve itself in another U.S. election.
Earlier, President Trump hosted a White House lunch for a group of Republican senators who will decide his political fate if the House sends articles of impeachment to the Senate. Katherine Johnson, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And turning to weather, Q2 Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire is here with us to bring us some news that will divide the thankful meter.
Well, you know, this has been a nice day today. Tomorrow and Saturday going to be much better, but next week things are going to change. Take a look at the 6 to 10 day outlook. This is the Thanksgiving week, and you'll notice the temperatures, they are expected to be below average, not just below average. They're going to be much below average, and not only for Montana, but all the way across the western half of the country. So take a look at the precipitation. We are expecting to get snow just about every day next week except for Friday. And take a look. The computer models are suggesting 6 to 10 inches of snow by 10 p.m. on Thursday night. That's right. Same thing over Livingston, also by Jordan. Maybe 4 to 6 inches of snow over by Miles City. So a lot of snow. Even if we don't get that much, you just need to know that when it says that kind of snow, we're looking for a major snow event moving in next week. We'll have the rest of that coming up in a few more minutes.
Goody. Thanks so much, Bob.
Well, sports betting in Montana now has official rules and a name, Sportsbet Montana.
The Montana Lottery revealing that name and the final restrictions just today. Now, the rules only allow sports betting at businesses with gambling operator licenses, such as taverns and casinos. Players will be able to bet in person at licensed facilities or create sports wagering accounts with the state to bet using electronic devices.
Players can also set account limits on spending, deposits, and time spent. The Montana Lottery Authority anticipates it will accept applications from sales agents wishing to offer sports wagering by the end of the year. Well, Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Wade Palmer is continuing his miraculous recovery after being ambushed and shot 3 times back in March.
And today it was smiles and tears of joy as the Highway Patrol honored the men and women who helped save him. MTN's Katie Miller was there.
On March 15th, Trooper Wade Palmer was shot in the head, face, and neck in an incident that killed 2 people. 8 months later, he is now able to stand and walk with the help of a trekking pole, and he can say a few words. Here, he poses with his wife and colleagues from the Montana Highway Patrol. On Thursday, the Montana Highway Patrol held an award ceremony for law enforcement officers who assisted Trooper Wade Palmer. It was an emotional day for some as they remembered the night of the shooting. Colonel Butler says he will never forget what hospital staff said to him. He says he wasn't sure if Palmer could pull through. Now, he's amazed to see him in such good condition.
For me personally, it's wonderful. I'll never forget the conversation I had with the neurologist. St. Pat's the night this happened, and to see him walking today is amazing all the way around.
The ceremony honored law enforcement officers who responded to the shooting and who have assisted Palmer with his road to recovery. Officers from CSKT, the Missoula Police Department, and the Missoula County Sheriff's Office were presented with awards. Sergeant Sean Finley received an award from the Montana Attorney General.
It was an award for doing what I'm supposed to do, take care of my people.
Finley helped coordinate travel plans and visited the Palmers while Wade was in the hospital in Utah. Now he helps the family with recovery.
This command has been phenomenal in the backing of us here at a district level and us taking care of Wade, which is what we're supposed to do. They're relentless in their support of us.
Colonel Butler says the interagency support during this process has been amazing.
It's just kind of ingrained in all of us that when somebody's having a bad day, everybody else comes out to help. And we all know we'll get to return the favor somewhere along the way.
In Missoula, Katie Miller, MTN News.
And Trooper Palmer's wife, Lindsay, says they recently returned from an evaluation in Colorado and that Trooper Palmer is responding well to a new communication app.
Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, a new program addressing health in moms. Check out a big grant coming to Montana.
And sports, we're in Miles City where the Cowboys talk about what will it take to win it all on Saturday.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.